Hello, YouTube Nation. How are you doing? Long time no see. Well, for those who don't know, I have just finished up 6 months of cancer treatment. I am now cancer-free. Uh, I am going to try to make this as fast as I can because I know you will click off in a second. But I just want to let everybody know I've lost 30 pounds. My voice is pretty bad, so this is not going to be a too cool sounding video, but I'm going to give it my best. So let me get right to the point. This is about why I have come to believe the Bible to be true. Took decades, but I had to start with the book. Where else would you start? And I'm sure you've all heard these arguments, but if you will give me just 2 minutes right now, let's make a deal. If you will set aside your presuppositions and listen to my points, I'll make you a deal. If you send me specific links refuting what I am about to say, I will read them. Don't send me a website, an atheist website. I'm not covering the whole website. And I don't expect you to do the same thing. In the description box, I am giving you links to every specific item I'm talking about. So you don't have to roam around wondering, where did he get this? You know, you can look for yourself. Maybe you won't like it. I think it's credible. But that's your choice. Now, this entire video in my early belief in the Bible was based on the preponderance of the evidence. And I know they do that in court cases to convict somebody, the preponderance of the evidence. Well, you tell me, why is it wrong to look at the preponderance of the evidence in the Bible if, in fact, 51%, 69, 89, whatever, has proven to be true, has been documented. So that's where I'm going with this, the preponderance of the evidence. Should it not make you wonder, could the Bible have more facts than you have given it credit to? We know it's not empirical. We're not going to prove or disprove God. But I think with the Bible, if you just humor me, humor yourself or whatever, let's look at the preponderance of the evidence. So we're going to look at procedures for testing a document's validity first. There's 3 tests. I mean, there's many different forms of testing older documents, but we're going to use these: the bibliographical, the internal evidence, and the external evidence. Now, before we waste any more of your time, I want to ask you the question: would you agree the preponderance of the evidence could lead you to consider the truth claims within the Bible? Very vague. Would you consider? That's all I'm asking. If the preponderance of the evidence is as stated. And I remember I said it's about the preponderance. We're not here to validate the entire Bible. And I am only going to touch lightly on subjects, and in the description box will be all the detailed information if you feel so inclined to research it or research my source. Okay. As I said, this is not going to be exhaustive. It's going to be just, we're just going to ride the waves, touch the surface, and see if there's something here that would engage you to look a little further. So, after that comment, I don't want to waste any more of your time. You can go ahead and leave right now. If you don't want to look and give any credence to the preponderance of the evidence and the validity that the Bible could be true, get rid of them presuppositions. And you refute me. You send me your specific information, I'll read it. Okay, I'm looking for people to be open-minded that will engage me. Engage me on why the evidence would not suggest there may be more truth than people give credit to. And some Christians may not even like this, that I use a preponderance of the evidence. They want to throw it in your face that, it's the Word of God, it's all true, it's 100%. Well, if you're an atheist, I don't want to knock you over the head with that. Let's start somewhere that may be some agreeable. Can we find one truth in the Bible? Let's talk about that. That's what I want to do. Okay, so the 3 errors we want to avoid are: do not say the Bible is inspired or infallible simply because it claims to be. We all know what that is. It's circular reasoning. We're not going to do that. And when considering the original documents, forget about the present form of your Bible and just regard them as a collection of ancient source documents that they are. Third, begin with documents themselves. Don't start with the modern. Okay, I'm going to be drinking a lot of water. That's kind of what throat cancer does to you. Try not to slobber all over the place. Okay, let's start with the authorship of the Bible. This was one of the big things that got me thinking there must be something here. I'm going to read off 10 things real quick. 40 independent writers. They wrote over 1,500-year time span. They lived in 3 different continents. They spoke and wrote 3 different languages. They had 20 different occupations. There was a cast of 2,930 characters in the Bible, and they talked about 1,551 places. It covers a huge number of different subjects. It has written under many different circumstances, such as war, sorrowful times, Roman domination, invasions, betrayal, etc. Its message is expressed in all literary forms: poetry, prose, parables, etc. And the last one is, without possible concert or collusion, they produced a book which in all its parts is pervaded by one spirit, one doctrine, one design, by an air of sublime authority, which is its peculiar characteristics. I mean, it's amazing, the diversity of the Bible, but yet it reads like one story, one book. And the Bible does not project its people or events as wonderful. There was another criteria for looking at any kind of written documents. They have a whole list of things, but one of them was, is the author setting himself in a good light? Well, if I was going to start a religion, I would not use the Bible as an example. The Bible, its people, the Jews, the Christians, they were a motley crew. Man, they were some nasty people. So they didn't paint them in a good light, that's for sure. The Bible's full of stuff, bad stuff. Okay, the Old Testament. The Old Testament, the crucial question here really in the Old Testament is not having any of the original copies or documents or scraps even, but it stated that we can reconstruct them well enough from the oldest manuscripts of evidence we do have, so they give us a true undistorted view of actual people, places, and events. And now let's get into the people who did a lot of the writing and copying. There was the scribes. I'm not going to say a lot here. You can look it up, you can Google it. I'll have a link here. They were meticulous in the way they copied stuff. You'll have to read how meticulous. It's amazing. Then there's the Masoretic text, another very meticulous group of people in their copying. Let's see, Latin and Greek versions have also revealed careful copying and little deviation during the thousands of years from 100 BC to 900 AD. And then we've all heard about the Dead Sea Scrolls. That should be proof enough. What we're reading today is pretty accurate. I think they went through the book of Isaiah, which was fairly complete, and they found 53 letters that were slightly off. 10 of them were mere differences in spelling. 4 were minor differences, such as the presence of a conjunction, and some were spelling. Not one bit of context was changed. Okay, there's the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Old Testament. It confirms also the accuracy of the copyists who ultimately gave us the Masoretic text. The conclusion, in his book, Can I Trust My Bible, by R. Laird Harris, concluded, we can now be sure the copyists worked with great care and accuracy in the Old Testament, even back to 225 BC. And that goes on and on. There'll be a link to that. The New Testament, the Greek manuscript evidence. This is fantastic here. If we somehow lost the Bible, it could be reconstructed from manuscript parts and pieces because there's so many. There's more than 4,000 different ancient Greek manuscripts containing all or portions of the New Testament that survive to our time. There's 1,000 copies and fragments of the New Testament in Syria, Coptic, Armenian, Gothic, and Ethiopic, as well as 8,000 copies of the Latin Vulgate, which goes back to Jerome's original translation. And then we have the Church Fathers. As further witness to the New Testament text is sourced in the thousands of quotations found throughout the writings of the Church Fathers, as early as 100 to 450 BC, who followed the apostles and gave leadership to the fledgling church. Documentation of what we're reading today, that's not even an argument. I mean, it's not an argument. If you still think it is, you haven't done your homework. Okay, now another interesting comparison here is if you look at the documentations of the Iliad and all them older writings that are much, much older, the amount of manuscripts and pieces that they have are minuscule as compared to the Bible. But people refer to them all the time. And I'm going to put a graph in here that will show you the specifics of how old they are and the amount of manuscripts they have for those. Okay, let's see. To be skeptical of the 27 documents in the New Testament and to say they are unreliable is to allow all of classical antiquity to slip into obscurity. For no documents of the ancient period are as well attested bibliographically as these New Testament. Fact. Okay, now we're getting into the archaeology, the historical evidence of the Bible. This is another factual claim. You can't argue this, it's a fact. And we're going to get into the 3 tests here. First is the external evidence should confirm the truthfulness of the Bible in areas we can investigate. So, a big one is, as I said, archaeology. Archaeology has confirmed countless passages which had been rejected by critics as unhistorical or contrary to known facts. And I'm not going to list them here, but there are hundreds of them. Moses, the Hittite Empire, places, kings, that people said the Bible was wrong because they didn't exist. Well, archaeology has found they do exist. Just that alone should make people think there's a lot of truth in this Bible. If you have questions about the deity of Christ and God and the spiritual matters, yeah, I can understand that. But there's too many facts in the Bible. Okay, we have the uniqueness of the Bible. The internal evidence test reveals the Bible amazing consistency with all the authors, over 1,500 years, continents and languages used. It reads like one book. I don't think they could have planned that. Okay, the third test, overview of Bible prophecy. I'm sure you heard that, and a lot of you will refute that. Oh, they planned that. They could have twisted that. Yeah, they could have on some of it. I don't think they did on any of it. But on a lot of it, they had no control. You can't control where people are going to be born. And there'll be a link to that. You can get in depth on that. And Now, another big one, has the text of the Bible been altered over the centuries? That's very important, and I think the validity of the Dead Sea Scrolls and the scribes and the Masoretic text has proven that what we're reading today is basically not change any doctrine whatsoever. No truths have been changed. You can argue about a sentence here or there or something, but the truths of the Bible are not changed. And so one of the big tests is the bibliographical test, and that's the number of existing manuscripts that are in agreement with each other concerning the text that they are copies of in the time interval between these copies and the date of the original writing. All scholars agree that this test has conclusively established that the Bible text, which we now have, is nearly identical to what was originally recorded, both the Old and New Testament. And there's a lot more on that. And in conclusion, historical evidence shows that the Bible can be trusted. And if you want to be open-minded, and if you want to look, and I want you to engage me, refute what I've said. And there may be some things that you can refute, but you remember the word I used, preponderance of the evidence. There's too much of it. You can throw out a lot of it. It's not going to change the preponderance. And looking at the preponderance should give you pause to look a little deeper in the Bible. How much more is true that you just kind of threw away because somebody said so? Don't believe what everybody says. Don't believe what I say. Don't believe what scholar says. Read a lot of different documents and the experts, and what is the preponderance of their opinions? I know the Bible has a lot of division in it, and a lot of people disagree on things, but the basic message is still there. It's about God and His children. Thanks, and engage me. Thank you.